Welcome to another episode of Office Hours with State Representative John Hampton. I'm delighted to have you joining us here today. Working for renewable, sustainable, responsible energy development. That's what the People's Action for Clean Energy, PACE, is all about. And I've been dying to meet the executive director for a long time. This is an incredible organization, a nonprofit that promotes clean energy in the state. And Judi Friedman is the head of this wonderful organization. Judi, it's great to finally meet you.
Nice to see you, John.
Welcome you to the show. Welcome you to Simsbury.
Thank
you. I have been a environmental advocate and a clean energy advocate. Yay! I was on the Board of Selectmen for 9 years. And of course, growing up in a town like Simsbury, you realize early on how precious our natural resources are, and our water and our rivers and our streams.
And your beautiful tree.
And the sycamore and our open space. And as a selectman, I started the first clean energy task force here in town.
Good for you.
Yes, which has been terrific. They're a great group of folks, bipartisan, nonpartisan. They're working tirelessly on behalf of Simsbury's clean energy initiatives. And they've just grown, and they have tentacles in a lot of different areas, and business and the schools, trying to educate our children about the environment, about clean energy. So tell me first about yourself and how you got involved with PACE, and then talk about the organization a bit. But tell us about Judi Friedman.
I'm a doctor's daughter.
I'm a doctor's son. Yeah, we're just
we have a lot in common.
Yeah.
And I care very much about health.
Was he MD?
He was an MD.
Internist?
Yes. No, he was a gynecologist and obstetrician.
Okay, great.
And so I grew up caring a great deal about health. And early on, I realized that what we breathe and what we eat, what we're exposed to, is affecting our health. And when I was a mother, I had young children, and there was a plant in Canton, which is long since closed, that when the air would waft towards our house, I could smell it.
That's where you grew up, Canton?
Well, that's where I raised my children.
Okay.
I grew up in Wisconsin.
Okay.
And I could smell it, and I was very worried about my children's health. So I went to the plant, and the smokestacks were corroding. The odor was terrible. They were firing someone if they hurt themselves. They were fired. The workers couldn't speak English, and I could see that it was a very dangerous plant. So I went to the town physician, and I went to the state rep, and the eventuality was that plant was closed and is now a toxic site, and it still is a toxic site. So that made me realize that pollution from the air, which we can choose what we eat pretty much, what we wear, that kind of thing, but from the air, we all have to breathe. So air pollution became a very big problem for me. And then I learned about nuclear power and got very involved in the Seabrook issue. And in Middletown, the Wesleyan, they were going to build a nuclear plant in Wesleyan, and the students of Middletown, the students from Wesleyan and the faculty rose up and formed PACE. That's the origin of PACE, was an anti-nuclear organization, and that plant was defeated. It was moved to Montague, Massachusetts, and then never built.
It was proposed for?
It was proposed for Middletown.
Middletown.
Yeah.
And what year was this?
This was in the early 70s.
Okay.
And PACE was formed in, 73 is when PACE was formed by the Wesleyan faculty and students.
Okay, so it's a 501c3?
501c3, nonprofit, very nonprofit, all volunteer, no one.
Shoestring budget.
Well, we have a pretty healthy budget,
Good.
actually.
All right, that's
We're very
good.
pleased, and we, of course, welcome donations from anyone.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. So you're called the People's Action for Clean Energy.
And then also during the Cold War became very involved in the issue of nuclear weapons. So all this is also part of PACE. We oppose nuclear power and nuclear weapons. But John, as you know, you can't just be against something. You have to find solutions.
Sure.
So we work very hard on renewable energy. We're just delighted with solar energy.
Sure.
Our home that we have in Canton is a solar home. I power my car, I power a lot of my heat, lighting, energy appliances, all with solar, and find that just very exciting and exhilarating. The Solarize program came to Canton, and many people signed up for solar panels, and we're hoping very much that Simsbury will also
Yeah,
embrace
I'd
the
like to
solarized
pursue
program.
that. In fact, we just had some progress. The skating center here in Simsbury is
Perfect
now
venue.
solarized
Wonderful.
on its roof, and
Wonderful.
but yeah, I'm very excited about that possibility of coming to Simsbury.
And the new panels are so efficient. I mean, we put our first solar panels up in 2000, and then we just added onto them, and the difference in the energy efficiency in the new panels is just extraordinary. And they're good looking, they're black, they're sun power panels, wonderful.
Now, you are a membership organization, correct?
Yes.
So I can join, anybody can join as a member.
Absolutely.
And then I get your email blasts as a legislator at
Yes.
the Capitol. I have to join. Everybody has to join at home and
Right.
make a gift. How many members strong are you?
That's hard to say because we have many life members,
Sure.
people who we've been showcasing homes in Connecticut since 1974. And anyone who offers their home and
Yeah.
lets the public in is then a life member.
I'd like to
And
go on one of those.
we're
I get
very
your
excited.
mailings and they're...
We're having a wonderful, unbelievable house in Plainville on May 3rd, Saturday, May 3rd. We hope people will come to that. Open to the public. There is a fee you have to pay. But this house is amazing. It's a 2,000 square foot ranch house, not a special house in any way. It's owned by a music teacher and a computer engineer. And they have converted their home from conventional fuel and conventional utilities to environmental fuel and utilities by going to heat pumps, mini duct, air source heat pumps, mini split. It's a wonderful technology used all over Japan and Europe, coming to this country a little late, but still nevertheless, made by Daikin and Mitsubishi. We have some in our home. It's just an amazing, you take the heat or cooling from the air, not the water like geothermal, but from the air. And it's just, and ours is run by the sun, solar, our solar panels, and it's very exciting. So this house uses heat pumps, has photovoltaics, has solar hot water, and has many other environmental aspects.
Got any coming up in Simsbury? Any tours?
Well, we have our eye on a fine gentleman's house in
Okay,
Simsbury.
I'll help you.
But I don't want to name him
okay.
yet because I haven't asked him.
Now, are there many American companies producing solar, the equipment and the tools and
panels?
and the technology? Are
Yes,
we
more and more. And this is, John, my dream for Connecticut would be not to send jobs out of state.
Correct.
Not to buy Maine wind, not to buy Hydro-Quebec power, but keep jobs in Connecticut and manufacture here all the components
Sure.
that you would need
That's why I
for
asked,
solar.
'cause we
We're a
gotta-
manufacturing state. We're
We
good
are.
at it.
And it's win-win for everybody if we keep the jobs
It
here
is.
and produce clean energy. And so I know you are a frequent, constant presence at the Capitol, which is great. And we hear from you on a variety of issues. What were some of your successes last year during the legislative session, and maybe regrets or things you're going to address this year as we prepare for the 2014 session?
Well, before we go any further, I want to be sure that your listening audience realizes that you scored 100%, which not many did, on the League of Conservation, Connecticut League of Conservation's voters scorecard.
I was very proud of that.
You should be
thank
very
you.
proud of it.
Thank you.
And it shows that your heart is where your vote is, or your vote is where your heart is.
There you go. Thank you.
So that's wonderful. And we think wind, for instance, is a wonderful technology in the right place, the right site. You don't want it annoying people and that kind of thing. But John, I've been in Copenhagen, Denmark, and seen these marvelous windmills, generating wind. So right now we have a ban on wind power, and I wish they would lift the ban and then site in the appropriate place the wind power, because it is a benign source of wind.
Well, I was having this conversation, it may have been with my father the other day, about the debate of, oh, it looks so ugly and this and that. And then I'm like, well, stop and look at telephone poles as we go down the street. And what we've
Absolutely.
gotten used to.
Absolutely.
Driving down our streets, these eyesores that we kind of don't notice anymore.
Yeah, they're
but
hideous.
They're hideous, telephone poles and electric wires.
Mm-hmm.
And We have to be careful about citing, and there's certainly merit to that argument, but there's a lot of potential. And of course, our desire is to get rid of our dependence on fossil fuels and dependence on foreign supplies. And
we see clean energy also as a road to peace.
Sure.
We're very concerned with getting resources in other countries, oil. We feel that, and this is controversial, I realize, but that the Iraqi war and the Mideast interest, if their main crop was broccoli, we probably wouldn't be there. But we're very greedy for oil for good reason. We need fuel. And that these solar and wind technologies and other technologies that interest us very much is small hydro or run of the river. It's another way so you don't interfere with the fish, you don't interfere with the flow, but using water as a power. And especially in the northeastern part of our state, we have many existing dams and that would be, did have a house on tour that took an existing dam. It produces 5 kilowatts. They sell 2 kilowatts and use 3 kilowatts of power. It's a beautiful thing, and it runs all the time.
Weren't you trying to do that in Canton? Wasn't
Yes.
Dick Barlow involved in?
Yes.
What happened to that?
It's ongoing, but
is there a debate or?
No, there's just money for studies and permits and that kind of thing. It should happen because it's a wonderful source of power and makes a lot of sense.
Well, right now, as you know, I'm advocating for a statewide water plan because
Good for
last
you.
year the Farmington River was a target for
Yes.
potential diversion to support Yukon. And we all want to support Yukon and growth in our state, but my concern is that we aren't thinking strategically about how we grow economically. And we have to be smart about how we grow and how it affects everything, transportation but in particular our water supply. So we're excited about that. Water affects all of us: public health, environment, economic development, security, all those issues. So we're excited about working with Margaret Miner of the Rivers Alliance, and thank God we have advocates out there like you and Margaret and others, Lori Brown of the League of Conservation Voters. And as we were talking earlier, there's folks on both sides of the aisle at the Capitol that understand the environmental issues and how important they are.
Well, health is really the bottom line, and we have to have water. I know I was working with some kids, and I talked to them. I said, well, we didn't have any water. Well, then we could drink Coke or milk. I said, you can't have Coke or milk without water. So it's pretty important stuff. I think, frankly, that I know some people get discouraged about living in New England, and Connecticut is losing some population. But I have a feeling, John, that in time, if we preserve our water, we're going to see people moving here from other parts of the country because they can get water.
Sure.
And as California is really in a drought situation.
We don't have to look too far to see where the problems are.
Yeah.
And Connecticut is a small enough state that I think we try and plan for everything. We plan for our transportation, we plan for public safety. I think planning for one of our most precious natural resources is important. Now, last year in the legislature, we debated the energy bill, and you and I talked about that. I did vote against it in the name of clean energy initiatives, and I respect the governor and don't always agree with him, but on this issue we did not agree. And but it is, the current. Do you want to talk about what that bill does now? And
well, I was very concerned because the river water is a renewable resource, but going to Hydro-Quebec, sending dollars to Canada seems to me to be just insane. And then building transmission lines to the White Mountains, I think is, I don't think it'll ever happen because I think there'd be such terrible objections. What people don't realize is that when energy is transmitted, there's a loss of energy in the transmission, so that's wasted. And one of our great problems, as you know, John, is that we have macro grids.
Yep.
And our friend Joel Gordis of Environmental Solutions, who was a former state rep, is very, very interested in microgrids because we're in very, very dangerous situation where we could lose power either from storms or we're very interested in cybersecurity. If
Sure.
another country wants to bring us down, there would be
the way
nothing
to do
better
it.
than to cut our electric
Sure.
and attack our grids and bring down hospitals and transportation and everything else. So we want homegrown energy. We think we should have solar in Connecticut and wind in Connecticut, small hydro in Connecticut, appropriately sited, and those are jobs, that's health, that's the way to go, we think. And we're very concerned about also about natural gas. Natural gas is probably the cleanest of the fossil fuels, but let's underline fossil fuels. And fracking is
talk about
something that
fracking.
I'm very concerned with.
I think a lot of people don't understand. Can you give folks at home a summary of what fracking is and what the issue is with it?
Fracking is a way of obtaining natural gas. The problem is that you put toxics into deep wells, and your results are you're actually poisoning water, and the results can be some radioactivity, some toxics, and one of the things that I read recently, I think it's in Colorado, is that they're finding the endocrine systems possible disruption by some of the chemicals that would result from fracking. And what I don't understand is that some states have banned fracking. Vermont has banned fracking. And I feel very strongly we should ban it in Connecticut. But we want to have natural gas be a big fuel here, and that means that someone else is fracking and water in Pennsylvania or Ohio is being poisoned, and we are taking the natural gas from those places. To me, that's not fair. I mean,
yeah, it doesn't make sense.
and relying on natural gas, the more you rely on something, the more precious it gets, the more people use it, the price goes up, and I'm afraid that what is now a clean fuel in time will not be available at the cheap price. It is cheaper price it is now. But the exciting thing is, John, I'm a member of the Sustainable Energy Network. Ken Bosong, if anyone wants to Google that, talks about the growth of clean energy initiatives in this country, and solar energy grew faster this past year than almost any other source.
Do you think the president is doing the right thing on clean energy? Is he making in Congress? Congress isn't making a lot of progress on both sides of the aisle, and there's frustration there. And what's happening on the national level with clean energy? Success, not so much, or
the best thing that the White House has done, in my opinion, is Michelle Obama planting an organic garden in the White House lawn.
Well, that
was really good.
That and appointing our former commissioner, Gina. I knew we were not going to hang on to Gina. I mean, she was here for all of a few, precious time. She was terrific, and I knew. I just looked, and I told her that. I said, they're going to snatch you up in D.C., and she knew her issues, and she just had a great way of presenting. But yes, our First Lady has, actually we were talking before I became a state rep about doing a garden at Town Hall.
Oh, nice idea.
Everything's on focus now on sustainability and clean food. The GMO issue was a big issue at the Capitol this year, which I was involved with. And
see, John, we see energy as in a holistic way. What one wears has to do with energy. What one eats has to do with energy.
Sure.
How one travels, and so we are interested in all those aspects of energy.
Well, I've just gotten the last few weeks a stack of letters from folks who are concerned about pesticides on playing fields, and so I kind of want to dig into that issue more. My niece is a survivor of leukemia, and she's doing great, thank God. But my sister was convinced, and is still convinced, that the environmental factors of food and things people put on their lawns, and we all want our lawns to look great, but at what cost? And we all want great playing fields, but taking a look at what she won't let her kids go to certain yards, and the dogs go to the yards and come back with the stuff that's
right.
And so we have to be more conscious about what we eat and what's in our air and in our land, and being smart. And as you said earlier, we're not saying no. We're saying no and talking about solutions that'll work for everybody. We just
Yeah.
don't want to be banging the drum of being naysayers.
No, no, no. It's very bad. And it turns people off. I do think, though, that the answer to pesticides on the lawn is not artificial turf. I've been studying a lot about artificial turf in playing fields, and it's really very, very dangerous.
Oh, is that right?
If you slide on it, there's little pieces of it, and the kids breathe them in. Even professional football players now are issuing the. They don't want the rubber, the artificial turf. They want natural playing fields because of the health involvement, and also if you hurt yourself, there's more danger of infection. So I think we just have to get smart and think about how are we doing things, and do them in a healthy
Creative,
way.
healthy way. So I know fracking is going to be a hot issue this year. I know Matt Lesser, Representative Lesser, is involved in that issue. What else is coming up this session that we should be aware of as
I
legislators?
think the wind issue
the
is
wind
certainly
issue.
we should pay attention to. I think encouraging the solar development as much as possible. Energy efficiency, of course, is to me the win-win-win if we can do more with that. So anything that we can do to push and increase energy efficiency in public buildings, in schools, that could make a just changing. One thing I'm frankly, there's certain technologies I'm in love with right now. One is this mini split air source heat pump. Another is LED lighting. If people would simply change light bulbs and go to the light emitting diodes, LED light bulbs, not the compact fluorescents, which contain a small amount of mercury. And by the way, it's very important, as you know, that people don't throw those light bulbs into the landfill, that they recycle them. But the big thing is these LED lights, and they could now have a warm, if you want to get a warm LED, you go to look at 2700. That's the warm light, and it's really quite nice.
Do you have these resources on your website at all?
Lots of them, yes.
What is your website? And we're going to post it on the.
Yeah, it's this is
on
our
the-
brochure,
on the bottom of
and
everyone's
it's
screen.
www.pace-cleanenergy.org.
Great, that's terrific. Now you talked earlier about other towns going the solarization of towns. So how does Simsbury do that, and what other towns in the valley have done that? Can you tell me about that?
Well, I think Simsbury, if you could have a hue and cry rise up from the people after listening to this wonderful show, and speak to their legislators, your first Mary Glassman,
Sure.
and to you, and to other commits, Clean Energy Task Force, that will do a great deal. I think, and just a show of support for it as much as possible. People signing up, another thing people can do, which is a little separate from that, is signing up for the Clean Energy Option Program.
Sure.
And that's, if you want to help clean energy move forward, then get your electricity through a Clean Energy Option Program.
We're going to also put that link on the screen for
Good.
folks. And I've been talking with some folks about, forgive my ignorance on this issue, about using landfills for solar fields. Have you Have you heard about that?
It's wonderful.
There's the possibility of maybe here in Simsbury, our landfill now is capped and it's just sitting there.
Yeah,
So
perfect venue.
there's the possibility
Yeah.
that I might want to look into of a solar field that could.
The only thing that does bother me when you take precious farmland and put solar panels on it, I don't.
Well, you
think
can't
that's-
farm a landfill.
No, but that's why I like the landfill.
Okay.
And also, any rooftop that faces south is an ideal place
Especially
for a solar
public
panel.
buildings. We
Yeah,
have
and it makes a statement, and it's very exciting.
we have a public golf course that's right in the blaring sun. And as you know, municipalities spend a lot of money on energy, and so I know again kudos to our clean energy task force members, and they have monthly meetings, and I encourage folks at home to attend. And they started, gosh, it's been a while now, almost 6-7 years. They started with the 20% by 2010 program, but they've branched off into other areas, making sure that clean energy is part of the curriculum. Teaching our
Wonderful.
kids about
Wonderful.
all of that, and making sure businesses, we have a business certification program, that businesses can become more green and clean. And so we're making progress, but as you know, it's incremental.
Well, the important thing, though, that people need to know is that we now have a Connecticut Solar Lease Program and SunGauge, which is a Connecticut Solar Loan Program. And it is just if you want to make an investment and you want to be sure that you're going to get a good return, do these things, because you know the price of energy is going to go up.
Absolutely.
And when you do a solar lease or solar loan, you're paying a fixed amount, and it's going to, your electric bill will be lower or not, almost non-existent. Our electric bill for October was $16 for everything we do.
Wow.
And in September, $16 for everything. That's my car, that's heat pumps.
Move
that's
into your
lighting.
house.
And
Wow.
you're welcome. Bring your 6 siblings.
Yeah, that's $16. That's incredible.
Yeah, it's really very exciting.
Now, I want folks to go to your website, People's Action for Clean Energy. Are there other PACEs across the country? Have you
No,
started?
there's similar organizations,
But you're a leader. You're a
this is-
pioneer.
Well, there
You've
are
done
other-
incredible work, and I
There
know
are
you've
other wonderful organizations,
planted,
and we work with national organizations too, and we work very closely with the League of Conservation Voters. We work with Environment Connecticut. We work with Clean Water, Roger Smith,
Sure.
and Chris Phelps.
Oh yeah, great resources.
Wonderful people.
And we talked earlier. We're exploring the possibility of creating a environmental caucus of legislators at the Capitol, Democrat, Republican. It
Wonderful.
doesn't matter, to make sure we're on the same page, because this is a public health issue. It's a economic issue. It's
And
so
frankly,
important.
John, it's just plain fun.
Sure.
It is so
It's
fun.
creative and innovative.
So
and-
fun to get your heat and your lighting from the sun. I mean,
Sure.
what could be more fun?
Yeah, absolutely.
I run out to my meter and, whoa, it's going backwards.
Yeah. So Judy, do you have a board?
Yes, we have a wonderful board, and some of them have been
I
with
see
me.
Ed Begley Jr.
He's an advisor.
He's great.
He's a darling man.
You have an advisory
Yeah.
committee. You have a great board of directors. Some of the names I recognize: Tim Bowles, Representative Bowles, Nevin Christensen, of course, of Simsbury.
Wonderful.
We got to boast our local folks. Pam McDonald, who we talked about, some really good board members. So your board led, and are you the sole staff, the chief cook and bottle washer?
Think we're all volunteers, so none of us gets paid.
So you're not in it for the six-figure salary.
Right.
So people need to support PACE
Yes.
and all the great work that you do. And please count on my support in
Thank
the
you,
state
John.
legislature.
Thank you.
It's about time we finally got together to sit down, and I'll have you back, because we could go on and on for hours about the potential for renewable, sustainable, responsible.
Well, I invite everyone to contact his or her legislator.
Sure.
Because unless you do, they don't know what you're thinking, and it does make a difference, I think.
Absolutely, and I tell people all the time to stop me in the market or call me or email me and talk about this issue.
Do you want to run for president?
Okay, yeah, well, let's. I'm enjoying.
I'd vote for you.
Thank you. I'm enjoying my job where I am right now, and Simsbury is a great town, and there's a lot of potential. We've done some good things with clean and green, but we have miles to go. So I wanted to thank you. It's such a pleasure
so much.
to have you. Thank you for coming to Simsbury. Thank you to the folks at home for watching another episode of Office Hours. Please come back and watch us again. We'll see you soon. Thanks so much. Take care. Bye-bye.
Funding for Simsbury Community Television is provided in part by contributions from viewers like you. Thank you.